Hello children. So today we will learn the characteristics of the particles of matter. And in my previous video I have explained you how the matter, okay, what is the definition of matter. We have seen that anything which occupies space and has mass is called as matter. And I've also explained you that when we added some particles in the water, it was occupying the space between the water molecules. That shows that matter is made up of very tiny particles. So today again in detail we will learn about these characteristics of the particles of matter. So there are different characteristics. The first characteristic of the particles of matter is that particles of matter have space between them. Okay, so they have space between them, and this we have proved by taking, okay, so we have taken the glass full of water, and in that we have added the Dettol experiment. We have done by adding Dettol. We have seen how the Dettol started diffusing, okay, occupying the whole space inside that water. How does it occupy the space then? From where it got the space? That shows that this glass full of water contains some spaces inside them, and which are called as the intercellular spaces or intercellular gaps. And that is how these particles have occupied those spaces. Okay. Now similarly, still we'll extend this experiment here. Let us see some other experiments of showing that the particles of matter are constantly moving now. Okay, the first one we have already proved that the particles of matter have the spaces between them. So that what is the first characteristics of the particles of matter? That particles of matter have space between them. And now the second characteristics of the matter is the particles of matter are constantly moving. How does they move? So there are two ways of explanation. Okay, now here the second characteristic is particles of matter are constantly moving, and this can be explained by a Brownian motion. Okay, now what do you mean by Brownian motion? What you do is you have to take the glass full of water in this manner. Okay, you have to take a glass full of water in this manner, and in this glass you have to add two pollen grains. Okay, you have to add the pollen grains on its surface. Now what are pollen grains? See, pollen grains you have studied in 8th standard the parts of flower, and pollen grains are present inside the anther. Okay, so when you crush the anther you will get yellow colored grains, and those grains you have to put on the surface of the water and closely observe it without disturbing the water. You will see the pollen grains are constantly moving here and there. Okay, so this type of movement you will see in the picture. You can see here the pollen grains are being present. These are all the pollen grains, and when you observe it under a microscope, okay, these pollen grains, this drop of water, when you observe it under the microscope, you will see that the pollen grains are constantly moving. They are not in a fixed position. They are moving because of the water current. That shows the particles of water are helping the pollen grains to move. They continuously they are dashing each other, and because of this the pollen grains, okay, because of the water molecules, the pollen grains have movement, a zigzag motion. So in this picture you can see very clearly pollen grains and invisible moving particles of water which continuously hit the pollen grain and make it move. That's why you see a zigzag motion of the pollen grain. This zigzag motion is called as the Brownian motion. Okay, the same thing, Brownian motion, can also be explained by another example. In the beam of the sunlight, you must have seen in a closed room. Okay, in a closed room, if there is a small hole, okay, and from the sunlight, that is the sun, the beam of light, when it enters to that hole in that room, you will see you will see the beam of sunlight, and in that beam of sunlight you see the dust particles very clearly. Okay, you see the dust particles are constantly moving. Are they stagnant at one place? No. That shows that the particles are constantly moving because of very tiny nature and because of the spaces present in the air. Okay, so let us see with an experiment how these particles are constantly moving. Now here I will lit an agarbatti. Okay, now here you can see I have lit the agarbatti, and here you can see the vapors of the gases. The gas, that is a carbon dioxide gas, is moving in the upper direction. So clearly it is visible, and that shows that the air particles have lots of intercellular spaces, and it is sufficient for the gases to move in the upper direction. Okay, so very clearly you can see how the gas particles are moving. Okay, now I have kept some papers here in the glass burning. Okay, let me burn it. Okay, now when this paper burn, see, okay, now I'll close it with this glass. Okay, now see here, all these vapors are moving in the upper glass. Before the glass was empty. Okay, and how this movement takes place? The air in the upper glass has made all this carbon dioxide also to move in the upper glass here. So very clearly, if I open this, you can see the vapors. See here, how the vapors are moving even from this glass here. From this empty glass also the vapors are moving. Okay, so very clearly it proves that the particles are constantly moving. Okay. Now here there is one more example of the particles of matter constantly moving. So in a beaker, as you see in this picture, you can see there is a beaker taken with glass full of water, and in that you have to take some crystals of copper sulfate. Okay, put them and just you just stir it in the initial state. Don't completely stir it, and afterwards you will see this small crystal of copper sulfate. See, copper sulfate, if you look, it is a blue color. Okay, it is a blue color crystal, and slowly the whole solution, you will see the particles have started dispersing into the water. That very clearly explain the particles are moving. They are so tiny that they can easily move, and the water particles are making it to move. The water particles are constantly moving. Okay, and this movement of water particle will increase with the increase in temperature. It depends, the movement of particles. Okay, the movement of particles depend on temperature. That means as the temperature increases, okay, as the temperature increases, the particles will gain energy. The particles gain energy, and that means that their kinetic energy will increase. Kinetic energy will increase. Okay, kinetic energy. What is kinetic energy? Movement. Kinetic means what? Anything which is moving. So that is called as kinetic energy will increase. So this clear example is, suppose if you take in a bowl, you take the water. Daily you are observing this. Daily we do this in our homes. And when you heat it, okay, when you heat it, this you have to take a bowl full of water and you have to heat it, boil it. So what you see, the water particles is constantly moving inside. First, the water molecules at the lower side will get heated up, and these lower particles, as they gain energy, they start moving towards the upper side, and the upper particles, as they have less energy compared to the lower particles, they will move down to gain energy, and this way the cycle will go on continuously. There is movement of particles, okay, and still they gain energy. Still the boil, when the boil start when the water start boiling, you will see the vapors. The water, when the water start boiling here, you will see the surface of water breaks and it start coming out in the form of the vapors. This means that they have gained so much energy that they have started moving in the form of gas. Okay, so because of the increase in temperature, the particles have started moving. So temperature plays a very important role in the movement of particles. Okay, so in this experiment, very clearly it is explained. The spreading of blue color of copper sulfate crystals in water is due to the movement of both copper sulfate as well as water particles. Okay, and the same thing we can, if we carry out this same experiment by using hot water in the beaker, okay, or the gas jar, we will find that water turns blue at a faster rate. This is because on heating, the particles of water and that of copper sulfate gain kinetic energy and move faster. And due to the faster movement, they mix into each other more quickly. So I hope you have understood how the diffusion takes place. So I have explained the definition of diffusion earlier. Diffusion is movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration. This is called diffusion. So here the diffusion, the copper sulfate particles are diffusing into water. This is what we have seen. And in my previous example, you have seen when I burn the paper, when it burned, it released carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide was going and mixing in the air. So here diffusion of gases was taking place. And another example, at your home daily you can realize when your mother is preparing something delicious food, and you're in a different room, you get the smell of that food and you ask your mother, what is the special food you are preparing? So that means the particles of that smell, because it has gained kinetic energy from the kitchen room, it has moved into the room where you are sitting, and from that smell you can make out what food is being prepared. So very clearly it explains how the diffusion takes place, how the gases go very fast, how the movement takes place. Okay, now here the another characteristics of matter is the particles of matter attract each other. Okay, now what does this mean, the particles of matter attract each other? Now we have three different things here. Let me show you. Now here these are some pebbles. Okay, so you can see there are some pebbles here. These pebbles are in which state? Solid state. Okay, and similarly in this glass of what we have taken is the water. Okay, so it is in the liquid state. And as here you can see this agarbatti which is burning here, you can see the that is the, when this agarbatti burns, there are the gases being released, the carbon dioxide gases are being released. So it is in which form? It is in the gaseous form. Okay, so it is in the gaseous form. Now what does these three examples I have taken here to explain? Now for example, if you take this for example these pebbles, and then you take a chalk, okay, and you take this anything made up of iron. Suppose if I take this spoon here, okay, so all these three are in solid state, and if I break it with the help of this hammer here, so what will be crushing here fast is the chalk. The chalk will crush fast. Okay, then when I crush these pebbles, it will take little more strength to crush it. Okay, it needs more energy to crush it, whereas the iron this spoon will it is not easy to crush here. It requires more and more energy to crush it. Why? Because the particles in all these three, all these three are example of solid matter, and the particles, how they are arranged, it depends upon how the arrangement of the particles is being. In this chalk, the particles are little loosely arranged compared to the stone. Okay, and the strength depending upon the particles, how they are arranged slowly to each another. Okay, so that means the particles, suppose this is a solid particles here. Okay, in this you can see this is a solid matter, and the particles in the solid matter are very closely packed, so they have very less intercellular gaps, and because of this the attraction between these particles is very strong. Okay, see, there are no intercellular gaps present in them. So because of this, the attraction between the particles are very strong, and that is the reason the chalk, in the chalk there is more distance between the particles, whereas it is less in the pebbles compared to the chalk. And in this spoon, the steel spoon, it is still nil, you can say. The particles are very less. That's why it takes a lot of energy to hammer it. Okay, so similarly with liquid form also. In liquids, if you see now here, so here the force, now look here, I'll just read this paragraph. Okay, see here, we can move a hand through air very easily because the force of attraction, see here, the force of attraction between the particles of air is very small. It is negligible. We can also move our hand through water in a bucket fairly easy because the force of attraction between the particles of water is also small. But we cannot move a hand through a plank of wood because the force of attraction between the particles of wood is very strong. Okay, I hope you understood. Suppose now if I move my hand in the air, I am moving my hand in the air, so it is, you can easily move it. Why you can easily move? Because the particles in the air are very far away, and whereas now I can move my fingers here very easily in the water. Okay, I can cut the water surface here very easily. That shows the there is spaces present, and because of it I can easily move my finger, and that means the force is very less in the liquid medium. But I cannot move my hand to this table. Okay, can I move it? No, I cannot move it because the particles in this table are very strong. They have larger force of attraction. Okay, so I hope you have understood that the force of attraction is maximum in the particles of solid matter and minimum in the particles of gaseous matter, and similarly in the liquid matter. Okay, so children, we have learned that the characteristics of particles of matter. Okay, so there are 4 characteristics of particles of matter. The first one is the particles of matter are very small. So what is the first one? That the particles of matter are small. Second is the particles of matter have spaces between them. Okay, so what is the second characteristics? The particles of matter have spaces between them. And the third one is the particles of matter are constantly moving. Okay, and the fourth one is the particles of matter attract each other. So we have learned these 4 physical characteristics of matter, and I hope you understood these characteristics of the matter. Okay children, so today's question is, write the characteristics of the particles of matter and explain each characteristics with the examples. Okay, so this is the homework for you. Okay children, bye. Thank you.